Welcome everyone to my class on browsing. There we go. I have to do, this isn't an Ask Me Anything, sorry people. This is browsing the web, but we're going to talk about browsing the web using Safari on the Mac, iPad, and iPhone. Just some tips, general tips on how you can, use Safari, because that's basically what we do every day is we use Safari. Probably it's the most used app, some kind of a browser. Some of us use Chrome, but we're going to focus on Safari here. But that's the most used app that we have. So what I'm going to do is just kind of share some tips that I do, and I think it could help everyone else out as well. But before we do that, I do want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm Dan from Dan's Tutorials, and I create easy-to-follow video tutorials and host these classes on a regular basis. I usually do about 3 a month, I would dare say, of these classes on Thursday nights. I have about 450 videos on YouTube, but I have about 2,000 of them on my site. So if you like what you see here, check out my site, danstutorials.com. And a way that you can help support my efforts is by becoming a member. It is a small business. I work out of a corner office in my house, and with my wife working for Susan G. Komen, and that's how basically you can support me. You get all the videos ad-free. You get access to my AI assistant, and you can register for any one of these online classes that I host on a regular basis. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Let's go and take a look at some of my browsing tips. The first thing that we're going to talk about here is basically what is the difference between Safari and Chrome and Firefox. We have these different browsers, and the way that I like to my favorite analogy for this is an automobile. A browser is like an automobile. No matter what kind of automobile you have, you could have an electric vehicle, you could have a gas vehicle, you could have a hybrid vehicle. No matter which one you have, they all get you from point A to point B. That's basically what a browser is. They have a different engine in them. Safari has a different engine than Chrome, which has a different engine than Mozilla. But the main thing is they all get you going where you're going. You can all browse the web. But each engine has its own advantages and disadvantages. So let's take a look at that first. What are the advantages? What are the differences between these browsers? And why do I stick with Safari? So basically, Safari is developed by Apple, of course, we know that. And it is a default browser on the Mac and iOS devices. Unless you're in Europe now. Now it is no longer the default browser if you're in Europe. But more on that in a little bit. The engine behind Safari is a WebKit engine. This is something that Apple developed many years ago, and it really tends to be one of the fastest browsers out there. It is highly energy efficient, so it's great for laptops. But it doesn't offer as much flexibility as the other browsers. So that's one of the things that you have fast browser. It is highly energy efficient, but it also doesn't have as much flexibility. So if you want to stick within the ecosystem and you're using a laptop, to me it's a no-brainer. You go with Safari, kind of thing. Chrome has been known to eat up the batteries. It's not an efficient browser, but it offers more flexibility. So that's Safari. We have WebKit. Now, Chrome is developed by Google, of course, and it uses the Blink browser engine. So completely different engine. Actually, it's not. It's more, I'd call this the hybrid. What it is it's based off of WebKit, but it's a fork of it. So Google, because WebKit is open source, so Google's like, we can do this and make it work for us in a better way or a different way and all that. It's also quick. Google is known to be quick, but the big thing with Google is it has extensions, tons of extensions, which can extend the usability, the feature set of what Chrome does. And that is why a lot of people use Chrome, is because of these extensions, including myself. When I'm working in YouTube, I use Chrome because I have specific extensions that work with YouTube. And being that Safari doesn't have those same extensions available, Safari's extensions are, I'm being sarcastic, but I can count how many extensions there are on both my hands. There's just not a lot of flexibility. There's not a lot of extensions in there. So, Chrome offers that extension. But the problem with Chrome, as I mentioned earlier, is it's known and they've admitted that it is not an efficient browser. So you run into problems with battery life, as an example. Now, Firefox is a completely different engine, and that uses the Gecko browser engine. And what its main thing is, it can render anything. So this is the engine that you can give it gas, you can give it biofuel, you can give it whatever type of fuel you want. It's still going to get you down the road. It can render any site. And a lot of developers will use Firefox to test their websites. The problem with that is, and my wife is finding this out, she does website stuff for Susan G. Komen, and a lot of her coworkers use Firefox. So then they will see, like, oh, there's no problem with this. It looks great. But then when you look at it on Chrome or Safari, it doesn't look so great because Firefox can render anything. So you have to be a little careful with that, but it just works, kind of thing. They are also the ones that pioneer most of the innovations. They're the first ones to come out with tab browsing, as an example. Now, the problem with Firefox is they're kind of losing the ground a little bit. They used to make money off of Google search. Google is no longer the default engine on there, and not paying them as much money. So Mozilla, Firefox is kind of going through a little bit of a crisis moment, I dare say. But with Chrome and Safari, those have become the two de facto standards. Now, of course, you have Microsoft Edge, you have DuckDuckGo, you have Brave. All of those are Chrome. So all those are based on Chrome. So when you look at those browsers, you're really looking at a Chrome browser. It just has a different skin on it. It may not have as many code resources in the back, and maybe it has better battery management, things like that, but it is still just a Chrome browser. So you can, safely use Brave, DuckDuckGo on any Chrome site, and you're going to be fine, kind of thing. I'll show you something here with the different browsers on my Mac, so you can kind of see how this works. So I have all three browsers on my Mac, and let's go over to my applications here. Let's see your applications. Look at this in list view, and let's look at the file size of these here, and you're going to see something, that is. Let's see here. I'm gonna mute everyone here a quick second, and if you have a question, just unmute yourself. I'm good with that. All right. So if we look at Safari here, you're going to see that the app size of it is 13.8 megabytes. That's pretty darn small. Now, maybe what Apple is doing is it's putting some of the sources into the Mac OS itself. I have no idea. But that is extremely small, especially when you go over to a different browser. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to look at Brave. And Brave, it's not too bad. Let's see here. Well, 337. I shouldn't say that. 331 megabytes. So you're getting quite a bit larger there. But then when you go to Google Chrome, remember I said that they're the resource, and I'm not picking on, well, I am picking on Google, but 7 gigabytes for that app. So what we're looking, those are 3 apps that can do the exact same thing. And again, maybe Apple is cheating a little bit because they have it built into the OS. But you're looking at 13 megabytes compared to 331 megabytes compared to 7 gigabytes. What is Google doing with that extra basically 7 gigabytes? Because the other one was 370 megabytes. What are they doing with that extra 7 gigabytes? I don't know, but it kind of tells me that maybe it is has a lot of bloat in it, that kind of thing. So you have to be, or maybe that's where they're able to track everything that we're doing, kind of thing. The other thing I want to mention with these 3 engines is this is on the Mac. Now, when you go to an iOS device, an iPhone or an iPad, or even the Vision Pro now, all of those all use Safari's WebKit as the engine. They do not use Gecko. They don't use Google's, I forget what theirs is called, but they don't use the other engines. Apple doesn't allow any other browser engine in those devices. So when you download Chrome on your on your iPhone or your iPad, you're actually getting Safari with just a new skin. It makes it look like it's Google, but it is not actually Google, which is why you can't install Google extensions on the iPhone, the iPad, or anything else, because it's not using that other engine. So, when you're on your iOS device, the only reason why you'd really, maybe different feature set, or you're syncing with Chrome on your Mac, but for the most part, you're just using Safari on there. And,
And quick question: are you going to talk about extensions? I'm not sure what they are, what benefits.
I'll briefly touch on that. It's not in my notes here, but yeah, I can briefly touch on that. Absolutely. Basically, they just allow you to extend the functionality of your browser, kind of thing. But that's basically the difference between their main browsers out there. There's a few other ones out there as well, but for the most part, those are the three engines. And when you're on an iOS device, you're using the one engine just with a new skin on there, kind of thing. Now, Europe, with everything that's going on with iOS 17.4, they have a new app store in there and all that. And the funny thing is you'll see, if you look for it, you'll see a screenshot where the first thing that you have to do when you set up a new phone in Europe is you have to choose which browser, and they give you a list of 20 browsers, kind of thing. Ironically, they're all Safari. Just have a different skin on them, kind of thing. So it doesn't, Apple's playing a little bit of, I won't get on my soapbox, but, the problem what I have with that is, I'll just go with this very short one. The problem I have with that is these browsers, they used to, one would outdo the other one and outdo the other one and outdo the other one. And now they're, when Apple is limiting that to just Safari, you're not going to get that competition that is going to help promote, get a better feature set or a faster. The iPhone is not going to get a faster browser unless Apple decides it wants a faster browser. If someone came out with this great idea,
the Microsoft, the Justice thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the thing, the Internet Explorer or something?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's basically where the EU is coming in, that Apple can't do that, kind of thing. But ironically, they kind of still are, with the engine. So it's up to Apple if anybody wants to. Somebody could come out with this great idea, and Apple's like, okay, whatever, kind of thing. You can put it on the Mac, but we're not going to allow it on the iPhone, So that, but I think that'll change. Right now, we're in the middle of this little bit of a war between Epic and Apple. And I think it's all going to be, hopefully it'll be all good for us consumers. But we'll see down the road. I don't like a locked system so much, personally. But so that's the difference between the browsers. Now let's take a look at, we're going to focus on Safari here because that's the browser that I use, and I think it works great for me outside of what I do with Chrome, but I need to do that with Chrome because of the extensions. But Safari it works great, and everything that I use it for seems to be fine with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start focusing on some tips that can maybe help you, browse faster, better, whatever, with Safari. And we'll be looking this primarily on the Mac, but if I remember, I'll try to pull in the iPad and the iPhone as well to show you how it works on the iPhone. There's a couple features that I will specifically show you on the iPad and the iPhone because it just works a little bit differently. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at basically how we search the web. And this one sounds silly, but I see it all the time. It really, I see this all the time. What people do is they go up here to search, and if they're searching for something, they'll start typing in what they're searching for, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. But what Safari does, and other browsers, what they will do is they will they will automatically complete based on your history. And people don't really see that it is doing that. So if they wanted to go to I'll pick on my site. If they wanted to go to my site, what they will do is they will type out the whole site, and they really don't have to. So when I go in here and I type in Dan, you're going to see that it is automatically completing it. All I did was type in 3 letters, and it's filling this out. But what people, I don't know if they're looking at the keyboard. I'm picking on, my wife, my sisters, but, they don't look up in there, so they think that they have to type the whole thing in. They don't have to type the whole thing in. As long as that is up there, I can hit return and it's going to go to that site. You do not have to type in the whole address. On top of that, you're going to see that we have these suggestions down here. So basically what you're able to do is select any one of these and then go and do a Google search, or in this case here I'm doing a DuckDuckGo search, and it'll go to that site. So like I said, it's a simple tip, probably the most simple tip, but it's one that I see on a regular basis that people don't really realize what the Mac is doing. So just kind of watch the search bar up here, and you're going to see what it's going to be doing. Now you're going to notice that I have DuckDuckGo as my search engine. We are able to change our search engine on here, and that is over in the Settings app. Here we can do this on each device. We go to the Settings in Safari on the Mac. We go to the Settings app on the iPhone and the iPad. And then when we go over to search here, what we're able to do is change our search engine. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, we all hear these things about Google, and maybe they're grabbing too much information and all that. So you want to use a different search engine. Now, the problem with that is Google is the king. It's tough to beat a Google search. It really is tough to beat a Google search. I think AI is going to change that in the future. But for right now, still, if you want to have a good search, you have to really use Google. But we don't have to use them exclusively. So what we're able to do is use something like DuckDuckGo for our initial search. And in my case here, it probably comes up with the correct answer 80 to 90% of the time. Sounds like not that, really, we want to have 100%, but if you want to protect your privacy and all that, that's why we use DuckDuckGo. So what I can do is I can just go in here and I'm just going to type in here dance tutorials, and I'm going to DuckDuckGo it. So we just DuckDuckGo, it's coming back, and it found it. So that's good. This basically uses Bing search, by the way. This is, and then they kind of add their own settings to it, but it's using Bing search. So it's finding all the stuff with my site, which is great, but let's just say it didn't. You want to use Google search. You don't have to go and switch to a different, change your default browser. When you're using DuckDuckGo, or I believe any other search engine, if you just type in a G and an exclamation point, that's all I'm doing is going G exclamation point. I'm still using DuckDuckGo. But what this does is this tells DuckDuckGo that you'd rather use Google. So when I hit return here, you're going to see that it switched over to Google. So you can kind of use DuckDuckGo if you want, or any other. I would recommend DuckDuckGo. They seem to be pretty good. So you can use DuckDuckGo as your initial search. And if it's not finding something that you want, which will happen, I can guarantee it'll happen. It's not as good a search as Google. It's good, but not as good. All you have to do is just go G exclamation point, and you're going to be able to search using Google. So that's another little tip when you're searching there. All right. Next thing we're going to look at is how we can search a web page. So let's go back over to my site here. And what I'm talking about searching a web page is searching this web page. I don't want to search the web. What I want to do is just search this. Maybe I'm looking for something here. Actually, a really good example of this is when I go to Wikipedia. This is what I will do is use Wikipedia. Big fan of Wikipedia. And let's just go to Tacoma, Washington. And, this is a long article. Well, let's say I'm looking for, rainfall. I think they have about the same rainfall as what we do on an annual basis. How do I find that in here? I could search for weather and all that. Well, if you hit Command F, Command key and the F key, you get this little search. And what this will do is this will search this web page. So I can go rain, and we can see we have 12 matches. Let's go with rainfall. Not found, so I'm just going to go with rain. So 12 matches. And you're going to see that it highlights it. So now what I can do is I can just use these little arrow keys and go through, and hopefully I'll find what their rainfall is. Maybe not, though. But you get the idea of how you can search and why you may want to search a web page. Pretty easy on the Mac. Command F. That's all you have to do. Now,
And just
Can
so I
you
know,
use-
you're on DuckDuckGo. You're on Safari, but using DuckDuckGo as your search engine and Command F, right? But you
Yep.
could be using Chrome and be on DuckDuckGo.
I don't know if Command F is the search for Chrome though.
Okay.
So
Can you use the arrow keys on your keyboard instead to go back and forth, or do you have to use them right up there by the search bar?
good question. I'm trying the arrow keys. It's not working. I thought that you could. Let's go.
By Mr. Pac-Man.
I don't
Yeah,
see it.
I don't know who it was.
I don't see it. So I thought that you could. Command. No, that one doesn't do it. I don't know. I'm
Okay,
pretty sure.
thanks.
Yeah, pretty sure that you can, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm a keyboarder so much.
Unless
Yeah.
maybe there's-
Okay, thanks.
I'll see if I find it. I'll let you
I
know,
don't
Chris.
know.
All right. So now when we go over to the iPad, it works a little bit different. Now I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. Now I have an
I saw
iPad. I'm
shadows
going to mute everyone again.
fighting, but I don't know.
Here, participants, and mute all. There we go. All right. So when I have a keyboard on this iPad, so you can use the same thing. Command F. Come on. Let's see here. Command F. Whoops, there. You're going to see it's down here at the bottom. I was looking for it at the top. So it's right down here. And it basically does the same thing. I just type in what I want to search here, and I have my, so let's go with videos since I'm on my site here, and you're going to see that it is highlighting them, and I can, maybe it's the return key, Chris. I'm hitting the return key. That might do it. On the iPad, it's the return key that allows you to do that. So I'm just
Okay,
hitting the
I'll
return.
try it with my Mac sometime.
Okay. And that's how you can do that. But let's say you don't have a keyboard, then what do? You can't hit Command F. There's not any type of equivalent to that. Well, this is where it gets a little bit more on the tricky side, and this is how it works on the iPhone as well. What we need to do is we just need to go to our search bar up here. Let's make that a different color. Okay, so we go to our search bar, and then we type in what we want to search for. So I'm going to go with video. Now, instead of searching the web, if we go all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see on this page. So that's basically what I have to tap on. I swipe up, and you're going to see Find Video, and we have 10 matches. So now I can tap on that, and you're going to see I have my search here. So we can do it on the iPad without a keyboard. We just have to go up to this search bar here and then just look for Find on this page. And the iPhone, it basically works the same way. If I go to my iPhone here and we go to search, let's see here, we go to my site here.
It was cold there.
What's that? There we go. And if I just go down to the bottom here and I tap on the search bar where I would type in an address or anything like that, I type in videos. And when I swipe up, we have Find Videos. And then I can just tap on that. And now it's showing me all of the different things, and I have my little toolbar here to go through them. So with the iPad and the iPhone, and probably with the Vision Pro, you have to go up to the search bar and then just make sure that you scroll up until you find on this page. And then you're going to be able to search the web page for any specific text. And that's a great way when I'm reading a news article or anything like that, and I'm just looking for a little specific thing. Like I say, a lot I use this on Wikipedia. It's a great way to look for that. So, all right, what's our next one here? Working with links. All right, let's go back over to my Mac here. And when we're working with links, I'm going to show you what I do. This, we all know that we can click on anything here, and it will just go to that link. So I can go to South Sound region, goes over there to that link. Well, that's kind of nice, but the problem I have with that is if you want to look at a few different things, so I'm here over in South Puget Sound, and I want to read about Puget Sound, but I'm not done reading about South Puget Sound. Or maybe what I'd like to do is read more about Southwest Washington here. So a couple different things that you can do. One thing is you can use a contextual menu. So I hold the Control key and I click, and I'm able to open this up a few different ways. I can open this up in a new tab. So then what it's going to do is it's going to keep this window open and then open up a new tab next to it. And then we can also open it up in a new window. So let's go ahead and open this up in a new tab. So I just click on it. We can see that it opened up in a new tab. So now when I'm ready to read that article, I can click on it. So basically what I'm able to do is just kind of go through this. Whoops. I did it wrong there. I can go through this, open a new tab, open a new tab, kind of just go through this, and there they all are. And then all I have to do is just go through these different tabs to read them. And that's by using the Control key with the contextual menu. Also, what you can do, my favorite way of doing that is with a key command. So Chris might like this, since she likes key commands. Go back over here. Instead of clicking and then selecting, I'll show you, if I open up a new link in a window, it just opens up a new window instead of a tab. So I forgot to show you that. But basically, if you hold down I got to double check this. Command key, yep. If you hold down the Command key and click on it, what it does is it opens up in a new tab. So now, let's say I'm reading this and I want to read about Puget Sound. I'm holding down the Command key, I click. You can see it opened up over here in the background. Southwest, so I'm just have my Command key held down, and I'm just clicking on different links here that I want to read later. And it's just going through here and opening those up. And that's just by holding down the Command key.
So it's opening up in the background.
In the background.
Until
So
I'm ready to look at them. Okay.
You got it.
Thanks.
And if I go to the settings for Safari here, and you go over here to tabs, this is where you can set what you want it to do. I have it set to, here's some shortcuts here. You can have it open up in the background, but if you don't want it to open up in the background, you can hold down the Shift key, and then it'll make it active. I prefer to have it in the background, but if you want to learn more key commands, all you have to do is just go this. So Option click will open it up in the back. Command click will open it up in the background. Command Shift click will open up a new tab, but it brings it to the foreground. So let's just go ahead and quickly try that. So I'm going to read about this county here. So I hold Command Shift. It's going to open up a new tab, but it brings me over to that tab. The other tab is still open, so it just makes it active. On the iPad,
you can also go to the back in the settings. You can switch the behavior of command and command switch, or command shift.
So let me go back over to the Mac here. I thought I was looking for that. Open pages instead of tabs.
So
open tabs.
There's a checkbox down there. When a new tab or window opens, make it active.
There it is. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to reverse that, now it's going to do the opposite. Command click will make it active. Command Shift click will open in the background.
Right.
Yep, thank you.
Mhm.
So depending on how you want to have it, I have my stuff open in the background, but if you like to make it active, you can do that as well.
But
On the
that's all in the settings on the Mac,
Safari, yep.
on Safari rather.
Safari settings. Safari settings, yep. Now when you're on the iPad, and the iPhone basically works the same way, so you can use those same key commands if you have a keyboard. But let's say you don't have a keyboard. A lot of people on iPads don't have a keyboard. Well, then what you're able to do is long press, and you're going to see open in background. If I go with open, it's just going to open that window. If I go open in background, it's going to be like the tab where it's just going to open it up in the background. So let's go ahead and open this up in the background. You can see you get a nice little preview there. And now here it is, just open in the background. So it opens up a new tab, but it's just in the background there. So you can do the same thing there. And of course the iPhone, basically works the same way. So when I swipe up here, long press, you're going to see that I have open and open in background. Open is going to open it up in a new tab, or on the iPhone in a new tab, and open it up, make it active. Open in the background is going to basically just open it up, and it's the way that you switch. Let's go ahead and open this up in the background. So I'm still on that page. The way that you switch to different tabs on the iPhone, because we don't have the space. The way that we switch on here is, I lost my video pencil. Hold on here. Is this working? Yep. Yeah. The way that we switch here is we swipe to the left or right on the search bar there. So when I swipe over to the left, what it's going to do is go over to that page. So those are my different tabs. I'm just swiping back and forth to go through all my different tabs on the iPhone. So now I just go back. I'm looking at that one. I go back. There's my other tab. And if you want to see all of your tabs, you tap on the little square here, and there's my 3 tabs that I have open. So I'm swiping back and forth to go through those 3 different tabs.
And when we do what's it called, continuity, when I'm on Safari on my iPad and jump over to the Mac, does everything go over?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm having a tough time with the syncing of your open tabs. But if we look here, my iPhone is on a specific page here. And if we go over to my Mac, this is the continuity that I am familiar with a little bit more. You're going to see that my Safari has a little icon right above it. And it looks like an iPhone. That means that if I click on this, it's going to open up that page that I have open in Safari. So now I'm not logged in here, so it's not bringing me to that page, but that's basically, actually, no, it is the same page. It's just, I was almost going to swipe up on I can't wait for Apple to come up with a touchscreen for the Mac. But basically, that's the continuity that I'm familiar with. Supposedly, if you go to a start page, and I say supposedly because I don't have a lot of luck with it. Here's from Dan's iPhone 12. So these are all the tabs that I have open, which is true. Well, actually, no, it's not true. I have 3 windows here. And you're going to see I don't have anything from my iPad. And I think other people are having the same problem. There seems to be a little bit of a disconnect there. You used to be able to see all of your open tabs on all of your different devices. And I don't know, maybe it's because we have a lot of tabs that are open these days, especially on the iPhone. People will have 200 or 300 tabs open, so maybe that could be causing the disconnect there. But, and Jean says, return key is working on the Mac to cycle through the searched for word on the page. So there you go, Chris. We got our confirmation. So.
Yeah, I saw her note.
Good. All right. So that is, it's just some tips on working with links. Next thing we're going to look at, and I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I'd like to share this because I've talked about this before with everyone. Reader view, how we can read articles in Reader View. It makes it a lot easier. So we're just going to go to Yahoo here. And let's take a look at an article, if I can find a good article here. Let's see here. It's just not any good news these days. We'll go to celebrity. And let's go with another trial there. All right, Super Bowl, star-studded event. If you look here, we have an advertisement at the top. We have advertisements on the right. It's just a mess to try to read these articles. Now, this has a lot of images in it, but it's just a mess to try to read these. Well, if you go to an article that doesn't have a lot of images, and let's see here, Taylor Swift, there we go. If we go to an article that has text, what we can do is we can go right up to the top here, and you're going to see this little piece of paper icon. That little piece of paper icon is telling you that we can put this in Reader View. Not all pages you can do this with. But with Reader View, what it's going to do is it's going to reformat the article. It's going to take out all of the ads and just kind of reformat it. So I click on this, and you're going to see that. No more ads. It's just a nice, easy to read article. And all I had to do is just click on this. Click on it again, it brings me back to the cluttered look, I could say.
And is that good if you want to export to or send it to a friend? Can you send a reader?
No,
Yeah.
you can't send a reader. You might be able to print it and send the PDF. That may work. But I don't know if the PDF would have the whole article in it. So, because this is more of a browser thing. I do believe Chrome has it as well. I'm not exactly sure how it all works, how you invoke it. But I do believe it has it as well. So we'll go here.
When I have clicked on the whatever it is, the share button at the top, and if I want to mail something, it will give me an option to mail the Reader View, not the.
Oh, does it? Okay, there, perfect.
You can send the link, the Reader View, the full web page. But yeah, you can send. You should be able to send the Reader View from there.
So I'm in Reader View here, looking at this article.
Have to be in, so you be in Reader View now. Click the share button, and then so do an email. So do an email this page. Email this page.
It's going to open up in Spark Mail, so I don't know if that's going to work for me.
Oh, okay.
We're going to find out. Yes, you're right. Mail might do that. Because I don't use the Mail app on it's just sending the.
So
Okay.
Apple Mail will give me the option
to do a PDF.
send that
Thank
Reader
you.
View.
Yeah. Also, you can have Reader View open up automatically for specific sites. So what you need to do is you just need to control click on this. And let's say you're at Yahoo Finance and you want all of the articles to open up in Reader View when you're at Yahoo Finance. Just control click on this and you just say use Reader View automatically for Yahoo Finance. And then it'll turn it on. Now, in some cases, you might not want that. So then, because it does strip out some stuff, you might not get the whole article or anything like that. So you can turn that off. Typically, I have it off. And then when I need to read an article, I just click on this and it goes into Reader View. That's typically how I will do it. But you can have it go into Reader View automatically. The iPad. Yeah.
Dan, I have to dash, but quick questions, Michael. Is there anything out? Is it just Safari for Vision Pro? Or can I go in and get any other browsers?
Nope, it's just Safari. I mean, they have other browsers, but again, it's using Safari's WebKit. So.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
On the iPad, what you'll do when you're looking at an article is you will long press on the double A's. And then it goes into Reader View. So you just long press on those two A's. Same thing on the iPhone. You long press. Well, I'm not on an article page, so it's not going to allow me to do it. So we go here. Now, long press. I'm in Reader View. Long press. I'm out of Reader View. So you can easily go into Reader View automatically on the iPad and the iPhone as well. All right. Favorite bookmarks. So this is something that I do on a regular basis as well. I go through my favorites. So I'm not going to get into the whole bookmarks thing, but I'm going to get into favorite bookmarks. So your favorite bookmarks is a special folder within Safari, a special folder within your bookmarks of Safari. So when I go over to my sidebar here, and if we look at my bookmarks, so I'm looking at all of my bookmarks here, you're going to see that there's a folder here called Favorites. This is the folder that we're going to be talking about. This is a special folder. I do have other folders in here, and I can create more. But this favorite folder gives us a little bit extra. So typically, this is where I store all of my favorite bookmarks, all of my bookmarks. I generally don't use any other folders or anything like that, and here's why. When you're in Safari, what you're able to do is show your favorites up here in the toolbar. So you're going to see that I have Dan's Tutorials. There's Dan's Tutorials. News, and it's a folder. News, and it's a folder. I click on it, and I have all the sites in there. Here's Apple News. Here's Apple News. And if I move these around, let's go and put Dan's Tutorials down towards the bottom here. Look what it did. It moved it over here. So this toolbar here gives me quick access to my favorite bookmarks. And to show this toolbar, I don't think it's on by default. What you'll do is you'll go up to View here, and then you're going to show, this is what it says, it's Show Favorites bar. So this is how it is by default, not shown at all, and we have to go up to our bookmarks to go to all of our different bookmarks. But if I go to Show Favorites bar, it shows that folder here, up here, and then I can easily access it. And I can put folders within folders, so you can really nest these out. So essentially, what I can do is just click on it right up there. And here's how I use it. Not only, let's go ahead and close all these tabs. So I just have this tab open. So what I have here is I have a folder called Daily News. And basically what it does is it goes to NPR, it goes to Holland Sentinel, it goes to my stats. It goes, it's about 10 to 15 sites that I go to on a daily basis when I'm drinking my coffee. We all have those sites that we visit on a daily basis. So I call it dailies. Let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to call news here, rename it, dailies. And you're going to see it's called dailies. So I get up in the morning, I have my cup of coffee, I'm ready to read the news. Well, instead of going here and clicking on each one of these, you're going to see that we have the option to open all in new tabs. So I can open these all up in tabs. And not only that, keyboard shortcut, if I hold down the Command key and click, it just opened those all up. So now what I'm able to do is just kind of go through them one by one, go through all of my news, and when I'm done, then I'm ready to start working. I went through all of my things. So if you have sites that you go to on a regular basis, put them in a folder here and just Command click on them, and there they all are. And you can kind of go through them. The iPad, you have to go into the settings and then in Safari, but the iPad basically has the same thing. You're going to see that I have my favorites up here. And notice how they sync. So I moved Dan's Tutorials over here to the right, so it's over here to the right. And if I is it control click? Okay, when you click on it, what it does is it shows me the individual sites. If I, with a trackpad, let's see here, I don't want to do that. If I go two fingers on the trackpad, I get open in new tabs. So I can basically do the same thing. Open all of those websites up in separate tabs. And I wonder if I can long press. Let's try long press. Yep, long press basically allows me to open up in new tabs. So if you don't have a keyboard. So now if I'm on my iPad, I can just go like that. And I'm looking at all of my different sites again. The favorites on the iPhone is not as robust. Let's see here. Go to the iPhone. Not as robust. I go to the bookmark, and we go here, and I'm looking at my favorites here, but there's not any, as far as I know. Let's see here. Nope. The way that you would do this on the iPhone is you can open up a new page, and you're going to see we have dailies here. My pencil keeps crashing. You're going to see that I have dailies in the upper right-hand corner. I tap on that, and now I can open up all of these pages here. So basically I can just tap on these to open them up. So we access our favorites on the iPhone by just clicking on the search bar, and it shows us our favorites there. But that's a favorite trick that I use to browse websites on a daily basis. So I'll look at my site, I'll look at Naples' mug site, just make sure everything's all going. Just open them all up, and then I can close them one by one, kind of thing. All right. Save web pages to a reading list. What we can do also is save web pages to a reading list. And when we save it to a reading list, basically what we're doing is we're able to access that from any one of our other devices at a later date. And then once we read it from that other device, it marks it as read, so it disappears. So the problem that we have with bookmarks is bookmarks are kind of like a permanent solution. You add it to your bookmark, you're done reading that article, now you have to go and delete that bookmark. Well, we all know we don't go and delete that bookmark, which is probably why we have hundreds of bookmarks if we've been doing this for several years. So what you can do instead of that is you can add a page, add an article. So let's go to this one here. If I wanted to add this to, I really don't, but we'll just say I wanted to look at this. I wanted to add this to a reading list. I go up to Share here, and I can add it to my reading list. So let's go ahead and add a few articles here. So I'm going to add that one to the reading list. Let's just go, you can add any web page to it. So we're just going to add a few of them here. I can also click on a link and add it to my reading list. So I can click on any one of these to, where to go, add it to the reading list. So I've just added a few pages to the reading list. Let's go over to my iPad. And basically we do the same thing. We can long press and add it to the reading list. So I just long press, add it to the reading list. I can go to the share icon when I go to a website and add it to the reading list. And then with the iPhone, same thing. So I'm just kind of queuing these articles up. So let's go share icon, add it to the reading list. And if I go to a link, I can, it was there. Add that to the reading list. So I've just added a bunch of pages to my reading list. Let's go back over to the Mac. Now it's 2 hours later. We fast forward into time. And what I would like to do is, read some of these articles now that I've flagged for later. So what we do is we just go over to our sidebar here. And in our sidebar, we have our reading list. So like I said, this is kind of like a special bookmarks. When I click on reading list, here are all the articles that I added. So here's what I added from my Mac. Here's what I added from my iPhone. So we have all of these different articles here that I can read later. And you're going to notice up at the top here, sometimes you have to scroll down, but you're going to see you have all and unread. Right now I'm looking at all of the articles. So this could be thousands of pages. But I just want to look at the ones that are unread. If you look at the scroll bar here, you're going to see that the scroll bar is pretty short. And when I go to unread, because there's not as many, I read some of these articles. Now, as I go through and read these, I click on this. What it's going to do is it's going to mark this article as read, and it'll remove it from the reading list. I go to the next one. It's going to mark it as read. So if I quit here and restart it, you're going to see that they are no longer there. because it removed them. I've read them. On top of that, what you can do, instead of clicking on these, when you click on an article, you go through and read it, right? Go all the way down to the bottom. It goes to the next article. So you can just sit here and keep scrolling if you want, and then it goes to the next article. So now when I quit, this is how you refresh that reading list, you're going to see that some of those are now missing. So when we go over to the iPad, I go to the sidebar, and we have my reading list. Same kind of thing. Down at the bottom is where we can show all. It's not up at the top, but up at the top is where I can search. I swipe down and I can search. So right now I'm looking at just the articles that I haven't read yet, and if I want to see all of them, I just go and show all. So now I can see all of them. Same kind of thing. What I'm able to do is swipe up, and then it'll go to the next article. It's supposed to go, maybe I'm on the last article. Swipe up. There it is. Goes to the next article, and then it'll slowly disappear. You can see they're actually disappearing on the iPhone there, or on the iPad. And on the iPhone, that reading list is down here in the books. And it's the eyeglasses here. And now I'm looking at all of my articles here. This is why my site is showing up here. But if I click on Show Unread here, now I'm just looking at the ones that I haven't read. And again, I can just swipe up and go up, and it's going to slowly, well, not slowly, as I read these, it's going to update all the other lists. So now I've read a couple more articles. We go over to the Mac. We can see that it removed some of those articles here because it's all keeping in sync. So I like to think I like to look at the, my video pencil died again. I like to look at the reading list as more of a temporary bookmark, kind of thing. And when you look at it that way, it makes it much easier. Just we don't want to save these articles forever. We don't have time to read it now, and you just I want to read that. Not right now, I want to read it later. And then you can read it later. So that's how we can do that with the reading list. And it works great across all the different devices. Now, if you're in Safari, you couldn't, if you're in Chrome, you wouldn't have this. They may have a reading list as well, but it's all kind of built in here. So I see Gary asked a question. I'll do this one real quick because it's a very popular question. On the iPhone, you can have a lot of tabs that are open. So he's asking, how do we close all of our tabs? Well, if you long press on the two squares here, you're going to see close tabs. So if you have 500 tabs, it's going to say close 500 tabs. And 500 is not the record, by the way. I've seen more, but typically it's about 300 to 400. People usually have 300 to 400 tabs open. I'll give you a little tip here as well with that. If you go into the Settings app and go to Safari, there is an option here where you can tell it to close tabs after 1 month. So that's how I have mine set. So it kind of keeps it managed. If I haven't visited a site in over a month, I don't want to have that tab open on my iPhone anymore. You can do the same thing on the iPad. Works the same way. Can't do it on the Mac, but it works on the iPad and the iPhone. So just go in here and just set how often you want it to close. I think by default it's set for manual, which is why we will end up with 500 tabs open, at a time, So, but that's how you can keep those tabs managed. So we are at 5 o'clock, and believe it or not, that is it. I did it. So does anyone have any questions? I probably have about 5 minutes for questions. Any questions?
About spatial audio. There's supposed to be a button on your iPhone when you go into video that looks like a tiny little goggle that you activate so you can take spatial spatial
Oh, yeah.
video
Yeah,
on your iPhone.
yeah.
That button does not show on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. It's supposed to.
All right. So this, what he's talking about with the Apple VR headset, what you are able to do is take a spatial video, which is basically 3D video. That's what Tom is
Right.
talking about. So when I go into my camera here, now this is an iPhone 14, so I'm not going to be able to. I go to video, and if you rotate it like that, what you're going to see is an icon that is for spatial video. So let me,
Right where that flower is.
yeah, let me see if I can hook up my iPhone 15 here. I don't know if it,
Tom, have you done all of the latest updates?
Yes, I'm up to 17.4.
Okay, I'll say it for you, George. Have you restarted?
Thank you.
Just saying.
I agree. I had to do that. I had an issue when I updated earlier this week.
I did this morning. Yes, thank you.
All right.
Did you power it completely off or did you restart?
I did a complete power down.
Let's see. Yeah, it's not showing up.
Well, maybe
I'll
it's
just
because
show you. I can show you on my camera here. Go ahead, George, while I do this.
maybe it's because you need to give me your Apple Vision Pro, and since it works on my 15.
I see how you are. But we're talking about the iPhone, George.
Yeah, but I understand that, but I need your Apple Vision Pro to go with my 15 that
And
actually.
it just did. Oh,
So it just did it. So
Your
there's
flower
it's
little
blurry.
bit here.
It's a little blurry, but it's right there. That's the icon that Tom is talking about. But I noticed this time when I put my hand
Yep.
in front, it turned off. There it is. It's off. It goes into
in the flower.
yeah, the close-up mode, macro. So are you too close to something? That's the only option I have with that.
Huh.
The only thing I can tell you. So. All right. Next week, let's see if I have it on my website. I actually thought that I had this scheduled for last week. I don't know why I skipped a week in there. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. But anyway, next week I'm
Last
going to
week
be
was
having.
weekday.
Yeah, I just took the day
Weekday,
off.
just different.
Yep. Next week I'm going to be having one of my just my regular old Ask Me Anything, so you can register for that. That's all up and live and ready to go. So you can register for that. And outside of that, thank you once again. I think I got up to like 40 some odd people here today, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a good number.
Yeah, 40.
Yeah. Thank you for your support, and hopefully what we'll do is we'll see you next week. Outside of that, everyone have a good weekend, and stay safe, stay warm. And I'm going to stop
Today was
recording.
really good. Thank you. This